What's going on, guys? Running it back with another replay. And for those of you who may have caught my most recent live stream, you'll probably recognize this game. But for those of you who have not checked it out, I'm going to be casting it here for you. And if you do want to catch any of these live games in the future, come check out my streams. They're actually a pretty good time. So we'll just kick it off without any further ado. We've got triple Gore Herd in the opening, one going to secure the number 3. We've got 3 Ungor Spearmen. And we've got some Minotaur Great Weapons. The Eye of Morrsleep coming in here with the big boulders, with Warp Gaze. Amazing unit. Excellent in just about every one of the Mono God matchups for the Beastmen. Just does tremendous amounts of damage and is an excellent counter. Not only to, where are they? I know he's got some Chaos Warriors mixed in here somewhere. Well, I think they might actually end up being a summon, but regardless, they're an excellent, he's an excellent answer to stuff like Khorne Gores. There's the Chaos, or, some more Marauders, actually. Could have sworn he had some Chaos Warriors in this matchup, but I'm just losing my mind, maybe. But regardless, the Eye of Morrsleep is an excellent unit. Very good at actually shooting single entities. It does big damage to Minotaurs also. But amazing infantry counter. He's also pretty good at fighting Valkia. Valkia can struggle a little bit against him. Just because she's got really good stats doesn't really necessarily mean that she can land on this guy safely, because he does have 54 melee attack. 470 weapon strength is pretty juicy. He can actually put a bit of a beatdown on her if she's not careful. No Sleipnir on Valkia here. Opting to go for a much wider Khorne build, I would say, than normal. We do get a really nice blow here from the Eye of Morrsleep, hitting the Hellforged Bellower here. Doing a nice chunk of damage there. Almost 500 HP taken off of that bad boy. We do have a Warp Gaze being dropped as Valkia tries to get into combat with the Eye of Morrsleep. Going to send the Minotaurs in just to block her up. She does get a really nice use out of Demon Shield here. And Kazarak is looking to get tangled up with her. Bray Shaman with Wild Magic. No Traderkin here. Devolve and Mantle of Gorak going to be my spell choices. Debuff's very good against Khorne in general. And gonna be trying to make as much use out of it here as possible. Mantle of Gorak's also a pretty decent spell. Yeah, you can see the Hellforged Bellowers doing some big damage to me, but Valkia gets punished really badly here, taking a ton of damage. President Gorbul's coming in. Definitely gonna be trying to help out here, but big collapse here from the Khorne Minotaurs. Doing some disgusting damage to my infantry here. Gore Herd and Ungor Spear Herd getting beat to hell right now, but President Gorbul does have a nice isolation on the Hellforged Bellowers in this fight. Is actually getting a nice bit of damage, and this thing's down to about half health already. Very annoying unit to try and kill. My opponent doing a very good job of pulling out there. Actually getting away. Unfortunately for me, Morrsleep not quite able to get another boulder off, and I'm taking big damage here right now. Losing a lot of momentum with my infantry right now. They're getting absolutely pasted by the Khornate forces currently. Gorbul hanging in there, okay. I do have some Razor Gore Chariots to try and break down some of this infantry. These Khorne Gores here have taken quite a beating, but my Minotaurs in the middle here, getting hammered right now, and the Eye of Morrsleep not helping anything by contributing to that by throwing a boulder directly into their back. Kazarak is doing very nicely for himself. 750 value already. We do have some Minotaurs trying to break through, get another Warp Gaze popped on these guys, but we've lost our entire front line now. We are in a bit of a full retreat currently. Definitely need to get out of here. I do have some Ungor Spear Herd thankfully rallying, and they are going to be taking a pretty awful fight for them. They will do a decent amount of damage in return, though. They are fighting Minotaurs, and they do have some pretty decent stats when it comes to fighting large targets. They get 12 additional melee attack from the bonus versus large. Minotaurs have terrible melee defense, so that is going to benefit me a little bit here. Out here on the left flank for myself, I do have the Gore Bull and some rallying Gore herds taking a fight against the Minos, trying to break these guys down. It is not going super well for me so far. Destroyers of Drakewald are stuck in here. They are dead and routing. Not really getting their value back either is pretty painful, but a beautiful boulder from the Eye of Morsleep here. Smacking into the Minotaurs that are on top of old Vice President Gorbull here. He is on his way out. He is completely surrounded, and Minotaurs of Khorne just rip SEs apart, man. Absolute brutality there for me. But I do manage to break down the other Minotaur unit here. A lot of the very expensive pieces being beat up here. Morsleep gets another beautiful boulder off on these Minotaurs, off on this flank over here. They do have about 1100 value, but some Razor Gore herd coming in. Looking to maybe try and finish these guys off. You know, charge doesn't seem to go super well at first, but then they do start to get those AP attacks in there. And the Razor Gores are going to start breaking down these Minos. They probably will be sacrificing themselves here, unfortunately. But that's fine for me. We're keeping the value as even as possible. In fights like this, typically Khorne is going to be a bit favored. But this is the Beastmen we are talking about. And if there is one faction that can match the Beastmen for mobility, it is going to be the Beastmen. So we'll be seeing if we can maybe make something happen because of that here. Bit of a whiff with the boulder. Maybe clips the edge of one of the blood beasts there, but not doing anything too stupendous. Razor Gore herd and Centigores here have been having a really horrible time. These Razor Gore chariots have not done well. Centigores, they have done pretty well. They have broken down 2 Minotaur units, and they're giving these Razor Gore herd an opportunity to come in and save Kazarak. Kazarak has been rolling around, just getting in there and even fighting against Minos. He's been doing alright. He does have the Dark Mail, which gives him 20% ward save, 30 extra armor. He gets pretty juicy, actually, and is a very tough guy. Some Chaos Warriors finally making their way out onto the field. Kazarak finding the perfect target. He loves running over heavy infantry. Immediately takes off a significant chunk of their HP here and doing some very big damage. Razor Gore herd, unfortunately, they are not much longer for this world. They are rampaging into Khorne Gores, but they did manage to rout both of the remaining Minotaur units here. This Razor Gore herd managed to beat the other Khorne Minos, and now we have a bit of a breakdown of my opponent's back position here. Pestigore herds coming out with the Razor Gore herds actually managed to break his infantry blob. That is one of the reasons why you want to be very careful of blobbing up tattered infantry like this. My opponent, I think, was thinking that he basically had me dead now. He's gone to my back objective. He's capped that up. We do have a triple cap situation on my hands here. I am behind on tickets. He's basically killed all of my infantry on the field, but my most high-value targets are very much alive, whereas his are in a much worse position. Excuse me. Blood Beasts, Minotaurs, all kinds of expensive units routing for the hills now. Some of them paying for themselves. Some struggling mightily here. The Hellforged Bellowers is still alive. It is very beat up, though. And I do get a really nice lockdown with Kazarak. And Kazarak does take a boulder to the face from his own Eye of Morsleep. But the eye does also hit the Hellforged Bellowers. So, you know, maybe not the worst trade in the world. This thing definitely need to be dealing with. It is a very obnoxious unit. Definitely the most, maybe not the most powerful unit, DLC unit. That will probably, that honor goes to the Thunder Tusk, but Hellforged Beller is probably a very close second. It's an incredible unit, very powerful. Definitely no slouch in terms of capability. Bray Shaman of Wild looking for some opportunities here to get in and do some nice damage. Is on a chariot, can do some decent, you know, AP attacks to infantry at the very least. And then also looking for some chances to drop Devolve and Mantle of Gorok here. And just help out my frontline. My frontline infantry are going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting here. I do swing the middle objective, and I am retaking the home objective here, chasing down a lot of routing units in the backfield. I've been making sure to do that. and just forcing my opponent into a position where he's going to have to start to recontest with a lot slower momentum than he had earlier. Earlier, he had a lot of mobility, lots of Minotaurs, doing some serious damage to me. Now I'm going to be trying to take full advantage of the fact that he does not have those very quick DPS monsters on the field. One Mino is coming back out. I have dealt with the Chaos Warriors here, thanks to the Pestigors, who are doing really nicely for me. Fighting Khorne Gores, Chaos Warriors, Blood Beasts coming in, and we are absolutely destroying the Slaughter Guard now. My opponent bringing the Slaughter Guard in, honestly, you know, I did make a tier list video where I talked about these guys, and I think you're going to see first and foremost, just about why I was talking about these guys as being a bit of a risk. They are an elite infantry unit to the core, and they will beat the hell out of anything they get stuck in with, but are they ever going to find a chance to do that? Valkia over here in a very ugly fight. Kazarak and Pestigors completely surrounding her. My opponent not quite able to finish Kazarak here. Kazarak with 1955 value. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. It's a pretty decently cheap lord, honestly. It's about 650 with just the Dark Mail, which I think is a good enough item that you actually really do want to take it. It just really improves his survivability, you know, extra armor, extra damage resistance, and spell resistance not super applicable in this matchup, but in some others it can be great. These Razor Gore herds, they have been stuck out on this field for quite a while now. This is the same old summon that came out much earlier in the match. They've been running interference on a lot of units. They hit these Marauder dual weapons pretty hard, sacking them into these Minotaur great weapons. Just get a little bit of damage. They actually took about 700 HP off, even in their tattered state. Razor Gore herds are a very underrated unit, and the Eye of Morsleep did get another boulder onto the Hellforge Bellowers, which is barely hanging on here, trying its very best. Does actually damage itself and is on the verge of breaking. Will I be able to kill it in time, though, is the question. Khorne Gores folding in on these Minotaurs. Very tattered. Very determined to do some damage, though. One Minotaur, as you saw there, took a bit of a boulder to the face. Does get knocked over and is getting trounced a little bit. And we've got a very bad situation developing for Khorne here. Big loss of momentum across the field. Pestigors have been doing great work here, paying for themselves there. These Pesties well on their way. Fighting some dual weapon Marauders, though, not the best fight, but, you know, fighting Minotaurs, not a tremendously awful fight for those guys. They can do some good damage. I do have some Gore Herd and some Destroyers of Drakwold coming in, and my Pestigors crying their little hearts out right now as they get absolutely bouldered to death by the Eye of Morsleep. And back here, the Slaughter Guard, just getting obliterated by the Grog Hooves. Grog Hooves are an amazing unit, by the way. One of the best RORs in the game. These guys have perfect vigor from the Rowdy, but they also, you know, normally Centaurs have Rowdy. These guys have Drunken Bravado, which is also a passive heal. Basically regen in terms of its efficacy. But none of the drawbacks of regen, no fire weakness, which is very important in the Khorne matchup, obviously. And these guys have gotten about 1,000 value, and they've only been out on the field for a little while now. They've been throwing at some of the remaining infantry that my opponent has. They've helped finish off the Slaughter Guard. Slaughter Guard were down to about half health, and they've just been chasing these guys in the backfield. Hopelessly, you can see the tattered remains of their comrades as they have slowly advanced to their inevitable doom. There really hasn't been much of an opportunity for them to do much of anything. Very unfortunate for my opponent. Valkia trying to make something happen here by killing my caster. I've got plenty of magic at this point. Enough for a couple more devolves and a Mantle of Gorok, say. So she tries to get in here, and she is trying to kill that caster character, popping Demon Shield, but Kazarak just pushes her right off of that guy. My opponent is going to be trying to retreat. Kazarak having some problems getting after her for some reason. Not 100% sure why. And we do have a pretty messy fight developing right here. I do have Gore Herd blocking up a lot of my opponent's infantry. They are Marauder dual weapons. They are going to do very well trading into the Gore Herd, but I am just going to use the tattered remains of all of my stuff here trying to block up the Minotaurs here. Getting my Eye of More Sleep away. 3 more boulders. 3 more boulders is a lot of DPS. And the Eye of More Sleep up to 2,600 value. Drops a hot boulder right on top of these Khorne Gores. Does some nasty damage. I'm going to be moving him immediately, trying to get him into a much safer position now. You can see my opponent is scrapping incredibly well. Being down about 3,000 value. That is true value difference here. Doing a very good job of hanging in. I do finally move the Gore Herd from the number 3 objective over to the middle. I see a very expensive Minotaur coming out, and I realize I've been keeping him back here for any back pressure, but there is no back pressure coming with some Minotaurs coming out, and we are going to use the Gore Herd to slaughter these Marauders, man. You can see how quickly Marauders get folded up by Gore Herd. Those dual weapons are just absolutely disgusting. Khorne Gores, I am, you know, sacking some Sentis. A little, maybe not the worst idea in the world. I was helping break down these Minotaurs. I've got some Rallying Pestigores to help buffer a little bit for these Sentis. And I just need something to get rid of as much of my opponent's infantry as possible before the Minotaurs arrive. Another pretty good boulder here. Does a little bit of damage to my remaining infantry here, but does big damage to the Marauder dual weapons. Marauder dual weapons are a very good unit. They're pretty disgusting, honestly, and they do some big damage, and my opponent is going to throw the towel in here, but a really well-played game by TK there. You know, this was a ladder stream, but I'm telling you guys, man, people, like, look down their noses at people who play ladder, but you run into really good players all the time, and, I don't know, I just, I love something about ladder is just really nice, being able to just load up games and just go, and not having to worry about it too much, and not having to, like, go through the Discords and find people to play with, and do the whole razzle dazzle with that is pretty good, and ranked multiplayer is in a pretty decent spot with the map pool. It's not the best thing in the world. They're not going to blow your mind like some of the Total Tavern maps are, but they're playable, and that's the most important thing to me anyways. But we're going to leave this one off here. We'll check out the values on these units and see who the big performers were. Hellforge Bellowers did alright. More than anything, this unit kind of got map picked. This map has a lot of hilly terrain, and the Hellforge Bellower, there's one spot where it does not do well. It cannot fire up hills because of the way that the missiles work. The missiles just pile drive into the ground if there's any slight elevation it's trying to go over. You have to be in an elevated position to get the most value out of the Hellforge Bellowers, or on flat ground. Flat ground works too. If you're on flat ground, though, you just can't shoot through your own units. If you're on flat ground and you fire the Hellforge Bellowers from behind an infantry unit even, you will obliterate your own infantry. It's very funny. One of the few things that keeps this thing balanced, but I still think it's a little too powerful overall. They just need to take the Vortex off of it. It'll be okay. Gore Herds did okay, Kazrak did amazingly, and Brave Shaman of the Wild got stuck in a little bit. You know, most of that's infantry kills that you're seeing there. Just running through Marauders, Marauder dual weapons, stuff like that. Ungor Spearherd did pretty well, and the Destroyers of Drakwold, always a really nice RR unit, and the Eye of More Sleep. MVP performance from this thing. Big warp gazes just locking down Khorne, making it hard for them to get the perfect engagements, and just helping draw a lot of attention. I mean, my opponent had Minotaurs aplenty in this game, and they were just pounding after this guy, and Eye of More Sleep is a slippery unit. I mean, I'm telling you guys, don't underestimate the kiting potential of the Eye. It can get around the battlefield really well, and a lot of that is thanks to the ability of Beastmen to support this guy. You know, he's got almost 40 foot speed, so if you see your opponent is, I mean, your opponent's probably going to be trying to go after this guy with something, you can retreat a little bit and draw your opponent into your reinforcing units and really punish them. You can do some big damage just by doing that, because lots of people get very scared facing against the Eye. They really want to commit to killing it, which is a good idea. This thing does disgusting amounts of damage to all kinds of targets, and Warp Gaze is a very powerful ability as well. That's why I like it in these matchups against like Khorne, Slaanesh, Nurgle, pretty much any of the demon matchups. It's got magic damage, it's got all the goodies. It causes miscast chance to go up as well to just like a base 50%. So enemy wizards struggle when it's on the field. And yeah, you can kind of see some of the prowess of it here. Groghooves did really nicely, 1200 value on them. Razorgore Chariots I thought would be really good, but my opponent just had so much mass on the field, they never got a chance to shine. They still got about 600 value. A lot of that, funnily enough, was going up against some Minos as they were trying to help out the Gorbel off on the side objective. And they did a little bit of damage that actually helped break them down enough for me to be able to finish those guys. I made up for the value elsewhere. I did that, Kazarak did that, Groghooves did it. The Razorgores paid for themselves pretty nicely, and the Pestigores did really well. Pestigores are not a useless unit. They are quite nice to have available for you. But anyways, guys, I've been talking about this after action report more than enough, so I'll leave y'all here, and I'll catch you on the next one. I hope you guys have a good one. GG's. Peace.